Most people assume that testosterone begins to decline only because of aging, but the science tells a far more unsettling story. Research now reveals that your testosterone is being disrupted every single day by habits you may not even think twice about. Subtle choices that hijack your brain chemistry, weaken your body, dull your ambition, and silently sabotage your vitality. Testosterone is not just a hormone for muscle and libido. It is your drive, your clarity, your confidence, and your capacity to respond to life with strength and purpose. It is linked directly to brain performance, mood regulation, fat metabolism, and even decision-making. Low testosterone does not just make you tired, it changes how you see yourself. And the scary part, the most common things that lower testosterone have nothing to do with your age, and everything to do with how you live, your sleep, your stress, your environment, your food, and your habits of attention. What researchers are uncovering is this: the modern lifestyle is perfectly engineered to destroy your testosterone without you ever realizing it. From chronic blue light exposure that alters hypothalamic signaling, to inflammatory foods that suppress luteinizing hormone, to psychological stress that shrinks your androgen receptors, this hormone is under full-scale assault. And here is the good news. Once you understand how testosterone works in the brain and body, you can start reversing the damage. In this episode, we are going to uncover 5 of the most shocking research-backed ways that testosterone is being destroyed, and more importantly, what to do about each one. You will walk away with specific protocols to support your hormonal health, tools backed by neuroscience and behavioral science that are simple to apply but powerful in impact. So whether you are feeling less focused, gaining stubborn fat, struggling with energy, or just want to feel like your strongest, clearest self again, this science is going to make sense of what is happening and help you turn the ship around. Let us begin by understanding exactly how these habits interfere with the brain hormone axis and what you can do to reclaim your edge. Let us begin with one of the most overlooked yet powerful destroyers of testosterone: poor sleep. Most people think of sleep as rest for the body, but from a hormonal perspective, sleep is a strategic biological window where your brain performs critical endocrine regulation. Specifically during the deep stages of non-rapid eye movement sleep, especially in the early part of the night, your hypothalamus signals the pituitary gland to release luteinizing hormone, which then travels to the testes and stimulates testosterone production. This process is not optional, it is essential. In one controlled study from the University of Chicago, researchers found that young, healthy men who were restricted to 5 hours of sleep per night for just 1 week experienced a drop in daytime testosterone levels by as much as 15%, which is equivalent to the typical decline associated with aging over 10 to 15 years. That means losing sleep does not just make you tired, it biologically ages your hormonal system at an accelerated rate. And it gets worse. Disrupted sleep also raises cortisol levels, which not only suppresses testosterone synthesis, but also interferes with the brain's ability to regulate hormonal rhythms. Over time, this can lead to increased body fat, reduced muscle mass, lower motivation, and cognitive fog. Here is what is happening in your brain when this occurs. Your suprachiasmatic nucleus, which governs circadian rhythm, becomes desynchronized, and that throws off the entire hormonal cascade that testosterone depends on. In simple terms, when you sacrifice sleep, you are not just sacrificing rest, you are breaking a neuroendocrine feedback loop that keeps your body and brain in sync. The fix? A simple tool to apply is anchoring your sleep with consistent light exposure in the morning and darkness in the evening. Expose your eyes to natural light within 30 to 60 minutes of waking. This locks your circadian rhythm into place and supports testosterone-related signaling. At night, limit bright light and screens 90 minutes before sleep, especially blue light, which disrupts melatonin and in turn delays testosterone release. Aim for 7.5 to 9 hours of high-quality sleep and protect the first half of the night. This is when testosterone is built. Sleep is not just recovery, it is hormone training. Have you ever noticed how your energy, clarity, and emotional resilience feel completely different after a solid night of sleep? That is your testosterone doing its job. And when sleep is sacrificed consistently, you are removing one of the brain's primary drivers of hormonal optimization. This is not about being perfect, it is about being consistent. Even small improvements in sleep quality, timing, and light exposure can produce measurable gains in testosterone and overall vitality. Sleep, quite literally, sets the stage for the rest of your biological performance. The second major destroyer of testosterone is something most people carry around silently: chronic psychological stress. While stress is a natural and even helpful biological signal in short bursts, the kind of stress most people live with today is unrelenting and mentally corrosive. It is not just about deadlines or finances, it is about the mental load, emotional pressure, and lack of true recovery that keeps your nervous system in a prolonged state of sympathetic activation. When your brain perceives constant threat, whether physical or emotional, it triggers a hormonal cascade that elevates cortisol. Cortisol, when chronically elevated, acts like a direct antagonist to testosterone. It suppresses the release of gonadotropin-releasing hormone from the hypothalamus, which then reduces luteinizing hormone and ultimately lowers testosterone synthesis in the testis. But that is not all. High cortisol also reduces the number and sensitivity of androgen receptors in your body, meaning even if testosterone is present, your cells are not able to use it efficiently. This dual effect, less production and lower sensitivity, is a devastating blow to your physical and mental vitality. In a study published in the journal Hormones and Behavior, researchers found that men with persistently high cortisol levels had significantly lower circulating testosterone, even when other health markers were controlled for. That means stress alone, even in the absence of poor diet or sleep, can crash your testosterone levels. What is happening in your brain during this time is just as concerning. Chronic stress leads to hyperactivation of the amygdala, your brain's emotional alarm system, and a weakening of the prefrontal cortex, which controls executive function, impulse control, and rational thinking. Over time, this can rewire your responses toward fear, avoidance, and low motivation, the very mental states that low testosterone tends to amplify. A simple tool to interrupt this pattern is to practice deliberate state shifts throughout your day. One method backed by neuroscience is cyclic physiological sighing, a pattern of 2 short inhales through the nose followed by a long, extended exhale through the mouth. This technique has been shown to lower cortisol rapidly by shifting the autonomic nervous system toward a parasympathetic state. Another strategy is to schedule short, controlled exposures to physical stress, like cold showers or brief high-intensity exercise, because these help recalibrate your stress response system and build what researchers call stress resilience. And remember, connection lowers stress. Social isolation is one of the strongest predictors of cortisol dysregulation and testosterone decline. So even just reconnecting with a friend, stepping away from digital overwhelm, or carving out 15 minutes for true stillness can become a hormonal intervention. If this insight is helping you, consider subscribing, because we are just getting started, and every week we uncover more science-backed tools like this to help you build a stronger mind and body. Testosterone is not just about what you eat or lift, it is about how your brain interprets your life. And if you are constantly in threat mode, your biology is going to prioritize survival over strength. Managing stress is not about eliminating pressure. It is about teaching your body how to recover between challenges so testosterone can do what it is designed to do: power your ambition, resilience, and presence. One of the most insidious ways you can destroy your testosterone without even realizing it is through the food you eat, specifically through the intake of inflammatory seed oils and ultra-processed foods that interfere with hormone production at the cellular level. Most of the processed snacks, fast foods, and even so-called healthy packaged items are loaded with industrial oils like canola, soybean, corn, and sunflower oil. These oils are rich in unstable polyunsaturated fats that oxidize easily, especially when heated, creating lipid peroxides and reactive aldehydes that damage the very cells responsible for testosterone production, namely the Leydig cells in the testes. In a study published in the journal Andrology, high intake of polyunsaturated fats was directly correlated with reduced testosterone levels and impaired testicular function in adult men. But this goes deeper. The chronic low-grade inflammation triggered by these oils activates nuclear factor kappa B in immune cells, a key inflammatory pathway that not only increases insulin resistance but also suppresses luteinizing hormone signaling. That means your body is not just producing less testosterone, it is becoming less responsive to the hormones that regulate it. And let us not forget about the gut. Ultra-processed foods, filled with additives and devoid of fiber, damage the gut lining and disrupt the microbiome. When the gut barrier is compromised, endotoxins leak into the bloodstream, a phenomenon known as metabolic endotoxemia, which further amplifies inflammation and disrupts the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis. What is happening in your body is a slow hormonal breakdown driven by daily food choices. A simple tool to counter this is to eliminate processed seed oils from your kitchen entirely. Replace them with stable anti-inflammatory fats such as extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, and moderate amounts of grass-fed animal fats. Choose whole, nutrient-dense foods rich in zinc, selenium, and fat-soluble vitamins, especially from sources like pasture-raised eggs, wild-caught salmon, grass-fed liver, and cruciferous vegetables, which support both testosterone production and estrogen detoxification. You should also build meals around blood sugar stability, because insulin spikes from refined carbohydrates further disrupt testosterone by increasing sex hormone-binding globulin, which locks testosterone in a biologically inactive form. Focus on meals that combine quality protein, healthy fat, and fiber-rich vegetables to keep glucose stable and hormones in check. And if you need a reset, consider a 7-day elimination protocol where you remove all processed foods, inflammatory oils, added sugars, and alcohol, while prioritizing nutrient-dense whole foods and clean hydration. Just 1 week of this can dramatically reduce inflammation and begin restoring hormonal balance. Have you ever noticed how sluggish, irritable, or mentally foggy you feel after a day of processed eating? That is not just poor digestion, it is your hormones responding to toxicity. Your brain, your mood, your motivation, they're all downstream of the food you feed your cells. If you start protecting your testosterone at the dinner table, you may notice your energy, clarity, and confidence returning faster than you thought possible. The fourth way testosterone is being silently destroyed is through constant exposure to endocrine-disrupting chemicals in your environment. Substances that mimic hormones interfere with signaling pathways and gradually erode your body's ability to maintain hormonal balance. These disruptors are found everywhere in plastic containers, food packaging, scented personal care products, laundry detergents, cleaning sprays, and even your receipts. One of the most widely studied groups of these chemicals is called phthalates, which are commonly used to soften plastics and stabilize fragrances. Multiple studies, including one published in Environmental Health Perspectives, have shown that men with higher phthalate exposure had significantly lower levels of circulating testosterone and impaired sperm quality. Another major disruptor is bisphenol A, found in hard plastics and canned food linings, which mimics estrogen and blocks the androgen receptors that testosterone needs to activate in the body. Even small, consistent exposures add up over time, altering gene expression related to reproductive hormones and increasing the risk of hormonal imbalances across the lifespan. What is happening in your brain and body when this occurs is a kind of hormonal hijacking. Your endocrine system becomes confused by foreign molecules that imitate natural hormones, leading to a breakdown in hormonal rhythm and feedback. The hypothalamus, which is your body's hormone command center, starts receiving mixed signals, suppressing luteinizing hormone output and reducing testosterone production as a result. A powerful tool to address this is environmental detoxification. Begin by switching out all plastic food containers for glass or stainless steel, especially for hot foods or liquids, which accelerate chemical leaching. Avoid microwaving in plastic and never drink from plastic bottles left in the sun or heat. Next, go fragrance-free in personal care products, soaps, and household cleaners. Opt for unscented or naturally scented options that are phthalate-free. Choose filtered water, especially if your local supply has been shown to contain pharmaceutical residues or heavy metals. You can also reduce chemical exposure by eating organic when possible, particularly for high residue produce like berries, spinach, and peppers, because pesticide residues have also been linked to hormone disruption. And here is a practical upgrade most people overlook: use thermal paper alternatives or limit contact with receipts by choosing digital copies, as bisphenol A is highly absorbable through the skin. If this message is opening your eyes, consider subscribing, because each week we dive deeper into the science of reclaiming your health from hidden threats like these. Your environment is constantly shaping your biology, whether you are aware of it or not, and when you begin to clean up your space, you are not just making things look better, you are creating a foundation for hormonal strength, neurological clarity, and long-term vitality. It is not about perfection, it is about awareness and taking back control one decision at a time. The truth is, Testosterone is not just affected by what you eat or how you sleep, it is deeply shaped by what surrounds you. The fifth and final testosterone destroyer is something that has become so normalized in modern life that most people never question it. Sedentary behavior combined with digital overstimulation. Sitting for long periods without movement, coupled with endless scrolling, binge watching, and dopamine chasing through screens, creates a neurochemical environment that is the opposite of what testosterone thrives on. From a neurological perspective, testosterone is not just a reproductive hormone, it is a behavioral driver that thrives in states of physical engagement, goal-directed action, and intermittent challenge. When the body is still but the mind is overstimulated, a mismatch occurs between your brain's motivational circuitry and your hormonal output. Research published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that men with low levels of physical activity had significantly reduced serum testosterone compared to those with moderate or high activity levels, even after adjusting for age and weight. Movement stimulates testosterone in part through activation of the central nervous system and promotion of muscle-building signals like insulin-like growth factor 1. But there is another subtler effect. Movement enhances dopamine release in the brain's reward pathways, which feeds into the hypothalamus and supports hormonal signaling. By contrast, excessive screen time desensitizes the dopamine system, leading to what scientists call dopamine receptor downregulation, which is associated with low motivation, fatigue, and even depression, all common symptoms of low testosterone. What is happening in your body during this cycle is a suppression of anabolic signaling and a rise in metabolic dysfunction, especially when physical stagnation is paired with poor posture and shallow breathing. A simple science-backed tool to reverse this is to build micro movements into your day. Every 30 to 60 minutes, stand up, stretch, and move dynamically for just 1 to 3 minutes. This reactivates blood flow, nervous system tone, and hormonal signaling. Add short walks after meals, which not only support insulin sensitivity, but also enhance testosterone by stimulating muscular demand and postural engagement. If you can, include compound resistance training 2 to 4 times per week, focusing on full-body movements that challenge large muscle groups. This style of training has been repeatedly shown to elevate free testosterone and improve androgen receptor expression. But beyond movement, it is crucial to manage your digital input. Set boundaries around social media use, give your brain periods of boredom or reflection, and reintroduce analog experiences, nature, books, real conversation. Your brain was not designed for nonstop stimulation without physical engagement. Have you ever noticed how alive and clear you feel after an intense workout or a long hike? That is your brain and testosterone in sync, operating in the state they were designed for. Reclaiming testosterone is not just about increasing a number, it is about creating a life that invites strength, drive, and deep presence to return. Now that you have seen the 5 most shocking yet scientifically grounded ways testosterone is being destroyed, the question is, what will you do with this knowledge? You have learned that poor sleep is not just a sign of a busy life, but a biological block to hormone production that disrupts the brain's ability to coordinate the hormonal axis. You have seen how psychological stress, left unmanaged, hijacks your nervous system and suppresses testosterone both at the level of hormone release and cellular reception. You have uncovered how inflammatory foods, especially those containing industrial seed oils, trigger oxidative stress, damage testicular function, and silently lower the hormones responsible for your strength, clarity, and resilience. You have become aware of the hidden chemicals in your everyday environment, plastic containers, synthetic fragrances, and processed packaging that mimic hormones and interfere with your body's natural endocrine rhythm. And finally, you have realized the cost of a sedentary, screen-driven life, the physical stagnation and dopamine dysregulation that lead not only to low testosterone but to low motivation, low drive, and low belief in what you are capable of. But here is the empowering truth. None of these causes are permanent. Every single one of them can be reversed with intentional lifestyle upgrades grounded in science. You do not need a perfect life, you need consistent action. Start with one protocol. Improve your sleep by setting a consistent wake-up time and exposing your eyes to natural light within the first hour. Reduce your cortisol by practicing daily physiological sighs or carving out 10 minutes of silent stillness. Eliminate processed oils and base your meals on nutrient-rich whole foods that support hormonal signaling. Swap plastic containers for glass, go fragrance-free in your products, and take control of the environment shaping your biology. And most importantly, Move, stand more, walk more, train with intensity, and give your brain space to reset away from screens. Your testosterone is not broken, it is waiting for a life that invites it back. This is about more than a hormone. It is about the version of you that emerges when your biology is aligned with your potential. If you found this video helpful, we would love to have you as part of this community. Like the video, leave a comment with one tool you will implement starting today, and subscribe for weekly insights backed by neuroscience and human performance. We are building a space for people who want to live with clarity, strength, and intention, and we are just getting started. So ask yourself this: which one of these 5 habits will you challenge today? Your brain and body are listening.